What's up guys? In today's video we're going to be reacting to scammer Iman Gadzhi finally exposed, which is an expose video which is starting to go viral, made by Spencer Cornelia. This is a video that a few of you guys have actually sent me to react to. So Spencer, as far as I know, is kind of an influencer investigator who looks at some of the shady marketing tactics of the fake guru industry and some of the underhanded tactics and strategies they may use to get you to buy from them. And I know you guys have sent me the link to review this because I've done a few videos where I've looked at Iman Gadzhi's strategies and his persuasion tactics, and I've been breaking them down, exactly what he's doing, maybe some of the overt stuff that he's actually saying to you, and then some of the more subtler stuff in the background that it's easy to miss. But it looks like Spencer has done a deep dive on him and has called him a scammer. So let's get straight to the video and let's look what Spencer has to say.
Iman Gadzhi portrays himself as an exemplary entrepreneur, a millionaire at just 18 years old and an $85 million net worth by 23. From agency owner to YouTube star, he's had a meteoric rise. But is he just another course seller promoting the dream, or the real deal? Did his NFT actually deliver, or just crumble into the typical wasteland of empty promises and empty bank accounts? While researching this video, he found out I was digging and tried to cover his tracks, but this train is full steam ahead. Let's dive in.
So he found out Spencer was actually trying to investigate him and then started to cover his tracks. I've seen this actually quite a lot in the guru industry. But the thing is about the internet is things last forever. You might have personal details and information out there that you don't even know is out there that will never be wiped. And this is why TV stars end up getting cancelled 10 years later from something which they said 10 years previously.
Iman Gadzhi has carefully curated an image of a successful entrepreneur and investor. But what if that isn't entirely true? He seems to have a large and loyal audience, but that doesn't stop him from buying bot comments. Here on a mini viral video from a small YouTuber named Switzy, you can see Iman's name among several other botted comments. Looks like she forgot to remove Iman's name from her bot script.
So it seems that a lot of these influencers, a lot of these, gurus are using fake comments, buying views, buying subscribers, and buying comments on YouTube as well to, kind of craft that image about how good they are. And this exact comment here that Spencer has found was also the exact comment which led me to believe that Iman was using bot comments. And I covered it in a previous video. This comment is from this video here. This isn't Iman. And it says, "Thank you, Iman, for inspiring us." So these guys use exactly the same bot farms to push their YouTube content in front of people so they can actually sell their courses, right? One of my commenters has previously said, YouTube should become pay to win now. And maybe there's an element of truth in this because a lot of the top guys, a lot of the top influencers who I've looked at actually use bot comments as well, or they at least look like they're using bot comments.
Fake comments aside, there's no doubt in my mind that Iman is wealthy. What matters most to me is the source of the funds and if the guru is as legitimate as they claim. Iman is a course seller, one that likely makes millions of dollars a year. A major component of his sales pitch is that he had a tough life growing up. I try not to dive too deep into people's personal lives, but he includes it in his brand image, and I found this next segment contradictory.
Eventually, she moved over there and took me with her, and my stepdad, it was like this fairy tale. My stepdad was quite wealthy, so.
In addition to a new life in a new country, Iman was sent to a better school.
He put me into private school, expensive private school. So as I said, this is literally like a fairy tale, or supposed to be like a fairy tale ending.
So it's really interesting what Spencer's covered here, because I've also covered previously that a lot of these gurus have this backstory. And if you really look into this backstory, sometimes it's true, sometimes it's based loosely on the truth, and other times it's just completely not true whatsoever. And so you can see here there seems to be a bit of a contradiction in what Iman Gadzhi's previously said about he's had this really hard come up, and I'm not judging, everyone's struggles are their own. But he's made out that he was very, very broke coming up. But then that kind of indicates that he maybe wasn't as broke as what he was saying. And again, I've covered this in previous videos as well, which is very interesting. So it shows Spencer's actually on the same lines as I am. Like, we've checked out a bunch of these top gurus' backstories, and they're just not true. I was watching this guy the other day, he's like, I do 100 grand a month. I used to do 100 grand a month before I started selling courses. And it's like, yeah, well, you didn't, because that's not what your financial statement's saying. Otherwise, you were laundering money. So either you were laundering money when you were young, doing 100 grand a month, you just didn't do that. So which one's more likely? Are you a criminal?
His YouTube channel eventually led him to starting an agency for social media marketing services.
So I signed my first client. It was content creation, editing, social media management, and distribution for $380 a month.
Study his content closely enough and you can watch the jumps he was making from starting out to building a team to running what appeared to be a legitimate agency, but the timeline and business filings strained credibility. In July 2017, at age 17, he posted this.
So what I want to talk about today is what I learned creating a six-figure business at the age of 17. Just to clarify, my marketing marketing agency has not made £100,000 yet. And when I say 100,000, I mean that in pounds and profit.
In 2018, there's this huge jump where now he's got 1 million liquid.
He was born in 2000, so that would mean $1 million in 2018.
I made my first million at the ripe age of 18 years old.
Let's see how truthful this claim is. One of his businesses named IAG Online Services was incorporated in 2018. In the UK, even private businesses have to submit paperwork and asset documents, which is how I access this data.
And then I started scaling to like 50, 60, 70K a month.
The balance sheet shows this company had less than $300,000 in assets. This is the balance sheet for 2023 that shows the company as having only $177,000 in assets. It's true that companies don't always keep large cash or asset reserves.
So this is an important point, and unless you live in the UK and have an idea about how, these balances of different companies are publicly reported, it's likely you're not really going to know what's kind of going on in this report. And this is Iman Gadzhi's report here, his balance sheet. So we can see that in 2023, he had net assets of only 177 grand. And you got to think like, well, if you're earning 60 to 70 grand a month, I think later he says that he's earning 200 grand a month. Why have you only got, 177 grand in the business? That's not actually what that means. And if you think about the type of asset that an SMMA owner, social media marketing agency owner would need to run their business, it's probably nothing really, to be honest with you. Hence the reason why we have a low asset value as well. So you can see as well in January 2022, there's 225,000 current assets to debtors, and then it's jumped up a year later by over double as well. So this indicates that there's growing business activity and potential profitability as well. So it's likely that Iman, on this case, because of the nature of the business he's running, because he doesn't actually need to keep that money in the accounts, he's potentially been just stripping out the money and taking it for personal income as well. This again suggests that his business was actually not doing too badly. We've got creditors, amounts falling due within 1 year. There's 828 grand of liabilities. So this means that there's potentially quite a lot of business activity going on here, whether he's running ads, whether he's running something else, but that could indicate again high monthly profits. So I do feel like, in fairness to Iman Gadzhi, Spencer has misinterpreted this balance sheet here, which is easy to do when you don't understand any of this. I'm not an accountant, so I actually struggle to understand this stuff as well.
With all that said, where's the proof of him making millions from his agency? It's possible I'm missing something, but I couldn't find anything indicating his agency was still making millions or ever did. Iman states that he closed his agency in 2022, so this begs the question I always ask in cases like these. If his agency was so profitable, why didn't he sell it?
In all fairness, going back to that financial report there, we can see that the amount of debtors that were owed within a 1 year period was close to 1 million. We can see that he has low assets as well. So this indicates that he's running a high profitability business, which Spencer's got a good argument there, like, why did you close it down? But maybe it's just that the core selling aspect that he does right now is actually just a lot more scalable, a lot easier to do, requires less work from him, and is less of a headache. It could just be that, and that you can only focus on so many things. So I don't know for sure. I'm just trying to be devil's advocate to some of these arguments as well to make sure I'm fair.
I'm shutting my agency down. A 6-year journey that took me from a broke high school student to a multi-millionaire.
Tell me if you've heard this one before. Business owner shuts down business that makes a lot of money. I haven't. Honestly, I haven't, because it doesn't happen. And if they want to move...
The good thing about this, though, is the silver lining here is that even if Spencer is off with some of these things, it's going to force Iman now to try and repair some of this brand image that he's damaged. And it's going to force Iman to now reveal, either go completely quiet, which is going to be suspicious, but Iman might actually come out and prove that these are all my profit and loss statements. This is everything I've been doing as well, to prove him wrong. That is also good as well, because it gets that element of being transparent out there. There is so many of these gurus, some of which are at the top, who you perfectly know the name of, whose backstories just do not measure up with what they tell you. And it's like, well, did you inherit your money? Suddenly you had loads of money only when you started selling courses. There's no evidence of you ever running a business. So even though Spencer on this section might turn out to actually have some areas wrong, it's still a healthy conversation to have to show more transparency, to encourage more transparency in this world, I think.
My favorite trait about Iman is he's in this next wave of wannabe entrepreneurs who try to brand themselves as a 9-figure business owner. The biggest tell of these guys is that with each new wave, they add a figure to their marketing, constantly trying to one-up each other. First it was 6-figure, then 7, then 8, and soon to be 9. Do you really think that these industry experts...
What Spencer's saying here isn't actually wrong, because over time, we've built up this tolerance to mark him. So for instance, in 2014, Tai Lopez has the infamous advert here in my garage where he talks about his Lamborghini, right? And everyone was like, oh my God, a Lamborghini. But then after that, loads of marketers rented Lamborghinis, and suddenly Lamborghinis were all over everyone's marketing. And so when something is all over marketing and we see it as like an everyday occurrence, it actually starts to lose its novelty factor, which means the marketing stops working. So what does Tate do in 2022? What color is your Bugatti? And now suddenly we went from a 300 grand Lamborghini, we went to a $5 million Bugatti because people need increasing levels of dopamine to be wowed now. So this is exactly what Spencer's talking about, in that originally it used to be earn your first $1,000 a month. Really interesting thing, I follow a guy called Ramit Sethi, and he was one of the first guys who got me into online marketing. And he said that he released a course called Earn 1K back in like 2009, where you could hope to earn an extra $1,000 a month using a side hustle. Originally, they did name it, because everyone's results were so good, Earn 10K per month. But no one believed at that time that you could earn 10K per month, so the marketing failed in it. But fast forward to today, we've got earn your first 6 figures per month, earn your first 7 figures per month, run a 8-figure, 9-figure business. Do you know what I mean? So that tolerance level has went up. It's very interesting psychology how this has happened over the years.
Gurus went from making a few $100,000s a year to becoming billionaires overnight, or more likely, did they just need to pretend to be making more to sell more courses than the other guys? Now it's time
And that is exactly what I just said.
to discuss what we've all been waiting for, Iman's NFT project. Like all high-end entrepreneurs, he released an NFT project in 2022 to ensure he'd be featured in the next Forbes 30 Under 30 magazine. He pitched the Gents Croquet Club as a private gentleman's club for dudes to network and link up with some high-end gents across the world. For the past several decades, Gentlemen's Club has referred to strip clubs, so you'd expect them to have women around, but no such luck. Not sure why so many guys want to pay so much money to hang out with other guys without a gal in sight, but to each their own.
I quite like this Spencer guy. He's got a good sense of humor, and his points are very, very concise as well.
Available in many cities at a much lower cost and with greater reward. VIP access, which highly implies access to Iman directly, a major reason for many members joining, I'm sure. Here's one member's comment on Iman's involvement or lack thereof.
He never came into the voice channel. He never engaged in the chat. And when he finally addressed it because the community was calling him out, he said he was way too busy focusing on building the project. That's why he hired the moderators, and that's why he pays Peter to be in Discord all day.
This sounds suspiciously like Tai Lopez's original garage NFT collection as well, where he sold it during the mint and then basically never paid any attention to it or didn't really fulfill any of the utilities afterwards. This is Tai Lopez's original garage. Here he is, and he had 3 different tiers. He had a silver tier, he had a gold tier, and then he had a black tier, and the black tier was selling for like 30 grand and things like this.
GCC was launched in May 2022.
When you were launching your NFT project, how much money did you actually make on the launch?
On that day, we did $4.4 million. I personally took home roughly around like 2.8.
Anyone with an ounce of business knowledge knew all along that the NFT model didn't make sense because there was no recurring revenue to support the promises made to the customers. It was all predicated on the promise of a speculative market that never actually existed, and these NFT bros pretend they didn't promise.
You made $2.8 million, and I'm like, yeah, that's also my salary for the next 20 years.
And this is the inherent problem. It isn't enough money for him to care, as we'll see in a minute.
Yeah, again, this sounds exactly like Tai Lopez's project.
This project's mint was $4,500 and was promoted as a place to network, learn how to trade crypto from an expert, access events, and be a message away from Iman. Most importantly, they were promised that Iman would leverage his social media profiles to market the project.
That is exactly what Tai Lopez said as well. I don't know if these guys might have even worked together. So Tai promised to leverage his social media profiles to also promote the projects, and that is something which he didn't do either. Very interesting how these influencers, these gurus, all have the same idea when it comes to catching the new trend of whatever it is, whether it's personal brands, whether it's selling NFTs, anything like that. They seem to have the same strategy, yet they all seem to fall short when it comes to actually delivering on it. Don't seem to fall short when it comes to collecting that cash though.
A couple months later, Iman then sent this video to the community members.
Gentlemen, I'm just gonna have a very open and honest conversation with you guys today. The things that I've seen in the NFT world, I never thought I would see in the world of business in my entire life.
He shares that they make zero revenue, zero form of reliable banking.
Of course he makes zero revenue because it was a one-time purchase for lifetime of the project.
Web3 company. They also aren't able to offer the alleged utility of the NFT, a concierge service, for free because it costs $3,000 per year. This is a surprise to no one. NFTs were the most obvious scam of all time, and yet people still fell for them because of the promises being made by the influencers.
So very, very similar to Tai Lopez's business. I'm just showing you an in-look of one of his Discords where it says, "You all got scammed." Tai Lopez promised a hotel like a members club, which he never built. And then there's all sorts of people complaining in here. If you look, Tai is commenting in here saying, "Hey, everyone should read this." And basically he's just got loads and loads of negative message backs. This has to be a bot post, otherwise he's just ignored everything and still trying to promote crap. Tai, that's cool and all, but where's all of our money gone? This person says, "So just checking in, but looks like Tai never fulfilled on this project, or refunded the money or built that hotel. Lol, would you believe Tai Lopez, you are predictable, bro. Also, Tai Lopez, where are the hundreds of millions you got from investors for all of your crypto projects?" So he also released, alongside his NFT project, crypto projects as well, and they were in different forms. You could buy like tokens, you could buy radio tokens, spice tokens, knowledge tokens, are all listed here. Atlas UFC, are you ever going to return any of that money? But this person claims that there's hundreds of millions from investors that have been taken by Tai. Or are you just going to continue to pretend that nothing happened? So we're starting to see some sort of trend here, and it's that there's these influencers who are jumping on trends, maybe not fully understanding like the gravity of what the trend is, but they're doing it as just a quick way to make money. And then once they've made the money, they seem to be reluctant to actually fulfill on the project. So what I'm watching here, I actually feel quite sorry for the community members because I've seen this happen in other communities as well. But let's get back to Spencer and see what he says.
The one massive oversight is said that I didn't realize, just how many of you guys used GCC as an investment strategy rather than for its utility.
Majority of the people buying NFTs were doing so because these projects were hyped to the moon by someone with influence, and they anticipated being able to make money. When the market bottom fell out, people lost money.
Yeah, so in marketing and like ethically as well, you've got to understand that even though you might not explicitly say things like this, if you look on Iman Gadzhi's channel, he's talking about investing, how to invest, how he's made money with cryptocurrency. And then when you turn around and say, "Hey, I'm going to release a crypto project, it's going to have tons of value in it, but don't expect any profit from this one," there is still the history of what you've previously said about other forms of crypto as well. So people still remember that, and then they expect that they're going to be able to make money with this. So this is just association. It's actually called association bias with whatever they've previously associated with the thing they're investing in. In this case, it's NFTs. So is it entirely the investor's fault that they've looked at this NFT as an investment opportunity? Probably not, to be honest with you, because your channel's about money and making more money.
Reminder that the mint price was around $4,500, and some people paid a lot more.
But for those that don't do anything with it by August 1st, as in they don't transfer it to Web2, they don't sell it, and they don't transfer it, I will give a 4,500 USDC refund.
So they're offering refunds at the moment, which is obviously great for the holders of it, and it's a lot more than what we've seen Tai Lopez do.
I have multiple screenshots of GCC holders asking Ali for a refund, and his response is that there are no refunds available.
So here we go. And we've seen this before with Logan Paul's crypto scam. Well, I don't know if it's a crypto scam. I think most of these guys do actually mean to deliver on all of these projects, and they have big ideas, but then they get sidetracked, and then like suddenly it's not as rewarded anymore because you've already collected the money. And I don't think it's intentionally a scam. I think it always just ends up being a scam. And as we've seen before, what I was talking about before, Tai Lopez, he's never offered any refunds. He's ghosted the entire community. Hundreds of millions allegedly has been left in that community. And we could see Iman Gadzhi here as well, going back on his word of the refund policy. We've seen Logan Paul has promised to refund, but then he's basically not refunded. And there's a reason for this. It's because, there is things in law. The law's a bit less complicated in England because we don't just sue each other for no reason. And it's actually hard to present a case in England and, nail someone for it. But in America, it costs a lot of money to defend a case, and it costs a lot of money to pursue a case as well. And so by offering refunds automatically assumes that you have established your own liability and that everyone else is right if you start offering refunds. In England, it wouldn't quite work like this, but in the US, it seems that people are afraid of actually offering these refunds and giving them out because suddenly if they went to court, then they would be fully liable for all of the project because they've already basically agreed with the refunds. that they are already liable for any wrongdoing.
You won't find another person on earth who's willing to put up their own money personally to try to save and salvage a situation like that.
You see, all of the gurus all say, you know, I'm the best person at doing this. You won't find anybody who's more open and honest and trustworthy. And actually, if you look into psychology and look at some of the studies which are done, the people who say the keywords of honest, trustworthy, you should trust me, loyalty, things like this, they're often the most likely to be opposite of those traits. It's very, very interesting psychology. And my theory is that for people who say honest, trustworthy, loyal, all these things, it's on the forefront of their mind always to talk about these things. The typical person wouldn't even think about talking about trustworthiness, talking about all this, because it doesn't even occur to them. The people who say these words are often worried that other people are going to rip them off. Interesting psychology.
Iman routinely mentions how much money he makes to the holder, so a little refund of a couple grand shouldn't matter much, right? Here he claims to average a take-home pay of $1 million a month from his Web2 businesses.
Yeah, and this is also the thing as well. You know, Tai Lopez is worth hundreds of millions. Iman Gadzhi is worth 100 million. Liquid, supposedly, I've seen on the internet. And Logan Paul is worth hundreds of millions as well. At least he's got companies which are doing hundreds of millions. And then when they have this kind of tight fist over giving these refunds as well, it makes you think like, well, hold on a minute. Do you actually have as much money as you're saying? Because surely this is just a drop in an ocean of money if you had to give this back, and you'd make everyone happy and you'd help that trust. But then it's like, well, has that money already been spent? It's very interesting.
Rejected an 8-figure offer for a software company. He even states that you'd be stupid to believe he did this for money.
So he's kind of going with this moral stance of this outrage of, how dare you even accuse me of, you know, needing this for the money? I've got all these other accolades as well. And it's interesting because people who are most outraged in an argument, like, how dare you accuse me of that, often have done the thing, but it's a good approach to silence the opposition, right? The person arguing the point, because it not only, you know, says that I haven't done this, but it's also assigning them the identity of like, come on, man, like, you're stupid, and no one wants to be stupid. It's also the same as those comments. Have you seen those comments where it's on a video criticizing someone like Tate, and the comment will be, hate never comes from above. And that comment is basically a great way of disarming the other person, because the other person doesn't want to admit that they're lower status, right? And if they continue the argument, then they are assigning themselves the identity of being lower status and that they're actually low. But that statement's actually completely bullshit. Hate never comes from above. Look at who is one of the best business people in the entire world, Elon Musk, right? He is constantly hating on his competition. He's beefing with everyone. He takes them all through lawsuits. Same with Bill Gates as well. So these are good phrases to disarm the opposition in an argument, or either in some sort of battle, and to assign them a unwanted identity. You're stupid, or, you know, low status if you think that of me. It's very, very effective tactics.
My sources have told me that they pulled the offer to refund and haven't granted any to date. The NFTs are now selling for around $23, so good luck exiting your position.
$4,500 down to $23. Yikes, you would have hated to have bought that as an investment opportunity, right?
Activity is basically dead as well. People paid good money thinking most of the value would be access to this young entrepreneur who positioned himself as an excellent investor, knowledgeable businessman, and someone with access to a high-end social network. Instead, they got a worthless NFT, access to a Discord, and invitation to a couple events that would be logistically challenging to attend.
It's funny that he said some of these holders got access to events which were logistically tough to attend. One thing I noticed in Ty's community is they would announce an event, like we're doing this in Las Vegas, but they'd announce it. They wouldn't announce the hotel until like a week before. And think about it, like if you're traveling from all over the world and you need to get to Las Vegas, like potentially you're not going to have got the time available to do that. You might be working on your business or working in a job or whatnot. And also as well, like, are the prices going to be too high in all the hotels by that point as well? And Spencer's just made me think by saying that, like, is that a deliberate strategical move to offer the reward, but then say, you know what, I'm actually going to make this very hard for you to actually attend and get any reward out of this, because then I can just say, well, to fill the other seats at this event, I'm going to open the you know, the marketing to other people as well. So they end up making double money on top, which is pretty sure that's something which Tai Lopez did.
Some holders started complaining, then reached out to me, and what do you know? Iman's cover-up began. My sources began asking people in GCC to help assist me with this video. Iman's team caught wind of this, then came this announcement from Iman.
All right, guys, so I just want to pop in with some very, very exciting news. GCC members will now get access to multiple Educate products for free.
I like having this much power over scammers, but that didn't sound...
Yeah, you see, so only action has been taken when the magnifying glass of Spencer here has been put on Iman. And it kind of makes you think, doesn't it? Because we heard at the start of the video, Spencer said they tried to cover their tracks when they realized I was investigating them. And now the team has really understood that Spencer is investigating them. They've started giving the people what they want. And it makes you wonder, doesn't it? It makes you wonder, like, would they have done that without Spencer actually looking into this, right? So we need guys like Spencer and CoffeeZilla. Sometimes I've looked at some of the stuff that CoffeeZilla's done and I've thought to myself, you know what, I think you're being a bit too strict there. I don't think you've quite looked into this person. But then this shows you as well, this level of being cynical. It's really good because he's ended up getting things done by investigating it, playing a bit hardball as well. So fair play to Spencer. I think some of the things he's put in the video around Iman Gadzhi's, you know, the numbers of his company, that is a potential narrative, and I can see why you've landed on it, that he never actually used to run successful businesses. And also, I'm pretty sure from what I can see from other gurus in the industry, that is definitely the case. But if you look at some of the numbers there, you kind of can work out that potentially he was running a high profitability business. But I don't know, I'm not an accountant. I don't know the full history either. And certainly the NFT stuff rings a lot of alarm bells, a lot of red flags, particularly when he's talking about his wealth all the time, but then now refusing to give refunds, particularly when he's only started taking action and giving the people what they want when he thinks there's going to be consequences as well. And then coupled with the fact that part of the brand image as well is like a rags to riches story. And I could see that Spencer's a little bit insinuated there that potentially Iman didn't actually come from such bad beginnings. But who's to say what happened in people's personal life? I'm just commentating on what I can see right here. It's a very, very interesting video. We covered a lot of different angles. I've obviously covered like the persuasion tactics, big public figures, the gurus all use, Andrew Tate, Alex Hormozy. I've covered all these and I've laid it out to things which require niche knowledge, and I've tried to make it public knowledge as well, like what these guys do to influence you, to get you to like them, to get you to eventually buy from them as well. I thought this was a very good video. I thought, once again, you know, some bits, unless you're in the UK system, like understanding companies and the financials and what gets reported, it's very hard to actually follow. But then you've got the NFT project as well, which is suspicious, and then the other bits and bobs that I mentioned. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you think Iman Gadzhi is a scam? Do you think he is legit? Do you think he is a scam, but like his message to the world to get men to work on themselves, and you know, do you think that balances the things out? Let me know in the comments. I'm excited to hear as well. Okay. Take it easy, guys. See you in the next one.